We are live from the
Hello, everybody.
House of Highlights.
Salutations.
How's it
Um,
going?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. I'm doing pretty well too.
Yeah. So
I'm
this
well
is
done.
the this is the first time that we're meeting, right?
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever met, actually.
Yeah. This podcast is called the Balancing Shoes Podcast. I mirrored my camera, so it's gonna be weird. Basically, it's just gonna be a podcast about balancing
Shoes.
shoes. Yes, it's a shoe podcast. It's
I'm gonna
about
look like this for the rest of it.
Dude, perfect. Yeah, so basically this podcast is just a way for us to talk about like walking in different shoes of, news in the world that's going on, or situations of people that we know, or just, in each other's shoes, honestly. And taking those opinions and things like, oh, what would we do if we're in this situation? Or what would we do? Yeah, what would we do if we're in like this sort of situation? What are our thoughts on this? And then kind of taking that and balancing them out on our own, and um, just kind of, gaining some new knowledge for tomorrow. How about that? That sounds great. I like that.
Back when this old guy was still by where I live, we would always, just be walking around talking about a bunch of random stuff. So this is kind of going to be the idea, the hope for this little podcast is that it'll be kind of like that, where we're just like basically just talking about a bunch of random stuff, and hopefully it's entertaining for people.
And it's going to be also like a testament to, leaving a personal record, sort of. Um, and what I mean by that is kind of like this mind state, I guess you could say, like at this age, because these are kind of things that we can only say because we're at this time period of our lives. You know what I'm talking about? Like, if, even next week, we could be thinking differently, but we wouldn't have any idea of how we were thinking now, if that makes
Yeah,
any sense, you know? So it's
it's
like,
like partially for entertainment purposes and like partially for ourselves.
right. So this podcast is basically just going to be about us sharing our thoughts and our opinions. And if we're wrong, then, we're wrong. It's not like that's a crime. At least I know it's not a crime.
I'm
And,
never wrong.
well,
I
yeah,
can't be wrong.
me neither. So if we disagree, then the world is probably going to end because we
This
both can't be
forms a
wrong.
black hole.
It's
You
fucking,
ever seen those memes that's like, it's over, Pierre doesn't want to come out here, and the earth is just exploding? We should start out with talking about our first topic, which is
silence.
we're just gonna sit here in silence for 20 minutes.
Yes. But yeah, the first topic, which is, I feel like what's fitting for today's episode, is just to talk about ourselves, who we are, and what we're doing at the moment, because we are both starting on a big, like, busy phase, I guess you could say. Correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong. But
Yeah, I guess we're at a period in time where we're not really like 95% focused on school, whereas the last 18 years of our lives have been revolved around, or 12 or whatever, have been revolved around school. So now we can actually do things that we want to do, and
right,
not absolute actual slave work.
for sure. Like, now that we have time to focus on what we really want to do. By the way, we both graduated high school, for those of you who don't know. We graduated high school. We're both really interested in music. Felix being a producer and a video creator, content creator. He has a very uh, promising, potential filled channel. I will link that in the description. That is the only
Yeah.
channel that this channel is subscribed to currently.
Yeah, I actually
So,
have 16 subscribers. Just got my 16th subscriber.
dude, that's big, bro. That's one more than 15.
I remember when I had 16
Get it.
subscribers back in the day. I currently have 9,157 people subscribed to my YouTube channel.
So 10K is kind of really close now. That's a huge milestone for sure.
Yeah, it should be within
Bro.
the next 30 days.
Yeah, because like your
Crazy.
channel growth is actually pretty impressive, because like it's just been like this. Like it's an
Yeah,
exponential.
pretty
Shout out to
recently, yeah.
math.
Cuz I think like right around December, like right around the like wintry months is when people start like getting into making beats, because you're like inside all the time. So it's like,
Yeah.
big thing to be like completely bored, and be like, "Yo, I could do that." And and do it, you know?
Dude, I remember specifically in wintertime, it was in eighth grade, um, where you started showing me beats that you were making. And I remember that you were like kind of not very confident about them. This is
Yeah,
like the
because I
very
think those
beginning.
like original beats, like when I first started making beats,
Hot beat
they were
one.
on like Garage Band. Well, those beats were later
Oh,
on.
LMS.
That
Right,
was,
right, right.
yeah, the LMS beats. I found out about LMS in freshman year, because it was like I think it was December, or no, it was like November ish. Uh, but yeah, I remember it was right around that area, and that's when I started making those first beats because I
Is
was
it,
I was
yeah.
hearing a lot of the like original Post Malone music that he had on like SoundCloud and stuff,
I remember
and I
we
was like,
used
I
to
could do
like sit
this.
around and you would tell me like, dude, this song, like I literally like marked this before it blew up, and you were like telling me all about what
Yeah.
song was it? I can't remember.
I don't even know at this
Was it
point.
like Congratulations? Was
It
it?
it
I
might have
think
been
so.
that one,
Yeah,
but that one blew up pretty fast. I
true.
remember literally the day that Ransom came out, Ransom by Lil
Oh
Tecca.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I remember
literally
you
told
mentioned that.
Eric about it, and I think it was literally like the day or the day after. That song had like 30K plays on SoundCloud, and then I was
Mm.
like, "Yo, listen to the song. The song's fire." And he's like, "Yo, the song's fire," and then it actually blew up like
Dude, it
crazy.
was it like the most streamed song on SoundCloud, like at some point or some shit
Yeah,
like
I
that?
think it was
It's
number one on
crazy.
SoundCloud. It's crazy.
Damn. By the
Why not
way,
the
we can
world?
swear now. That's the 10-minute
No,
mark.
so
But
I'm just gonna bleep it. I'm gonna go in and bleep every swear word.
dude, bleep every word except the swear words. That's how we're gonna do this
Oh my
podcast.
God, that would be so hard to edit. Should we just talk about like how we got started into doing music stuff?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
All right, you can go first.
Direction. So actually, it's kind of funny that I go first because
Oh yeah,
Felix
maybe
started
should I
doing it.
maybe go first?
Yeah, you
Okay.
started it. So.
Yeah, true. Maybe I should go first. Okay. So basically, the way that I got started into making beats was I used to play basketball. I used to be a real avid basketball player.
Big Hooper.
Yeah, I used to be a little
Need
bit of
some
a little
some
bit of a
Viagra.
hooper, and
Mm.
I played on in seventh grade, eighth grade. Well, I first started playing when I was in like fourth grade, and then I played on the team in seventh and eighth grade, and then I tried out for the team in high school, and I didn't make the team because it's very much based off of like kids who do like the summer camps and stuff like that.
You
Like
should
a
have
dude,
seen the kids that actually did make it. You.
yeah, it was wild,
Mm.
dude.
Oh, mm.
There's a couple of those kids. I'm not gonna say any names or anything, but I definitely beat a good handful of those kids. Like a good handful of those kids, I could probably still beat now. Like when they were playing on the team for like a solid like year, I could have beat them. I didn't make the team, so I was like, well, dang, like I got to figure out something else to do now. And that was kind of around the same time that I like started getting more into like listening to rap music and stuff because I remember there was a couple. Well, the first like rap song I really ever heard was "In the Club" by 50 Cent, and I
Dude, I remember you telling me this.
yeah,
I remember
and
in
I
the
was in like
club.
third grade, and I
Yeah.
was like, it's your birthday, while people were
Oh,
running like the
shawty.
the fucking shuttle run, and
Yeah.
my gym teacher was just like, what the are you doing? So yeah, then I first started kind of listening to rap music around that time, and I just specifically remember that like all the beats, like I remember I loved all the beats so much on every like song that I heard, and I was like, yo, I could do this. Like every song that I liked specifically, it had like a good beat, and then I
Yeah.
was like, I gotta figure out how to make this. So I just looked up like best free beat making program, and then I found out about
Yeah.
LMS, and then I found out about Cohart, and
Actually, I haven't heard that one.
yeah, he is like the main guy who
Oh,
made
I thought you were talking
tutorials.
about a program.
No,
Dude,
no. Yeah,
everyone's cohort fans are gonna hate me now, but it's
no,
okay.
yeah, probably. If anybody from LMS is watching this, they're gonna
Yeah.
crucify you. But yeah, he was like the main guy. So there was like him and Cubition, and then there was this other guy. I don't really remember what the other guy's channel was, but I just remember there was like three main channels that had videos on LMS and Cohart. Well, it's spelled Cohardt, and he's like this German guy. And I just remember he was the one that I liked the best because he had like the stuff that I was looking for specifically. Like he had tutorials on like Travis Scott and like Post Malone and shit like that. So like that's the guy who I started watching a bunch. And this man in like half of his videos, like he didn't even speak. Like he just made the beats on the screen, and then I would just copy the beats that he made like completely.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of how I taught myself, like just by copying like what he did. Cohart is like the main guy who I watched, and then from there I started watching like other people, because like at first I was just watching like people who made LMS videos, and then I was like, well, there's kind of not a lot of this content, so I need to, figure out some other people. That's when I found out about like Internet Money, and I found out about like Nick Mira and everybody like that. So I started watching them, and then I started watching
Oh.
busyworksbeats.com. It's just a long process of just watching YouTube videos and
And
going like
going
this.
through kick samples.
Yeah, facts though. So yeah, you can tell them how you got started.
Yeah, so when Felix started making beats, and he was showing them to me. At that time, I actually didn't have any like thoughts of being a producer or making beats or making anything like that. I was more focused on like writing lyrics. So for you, it was
Is
50
that the
Cent.
main thing that you wanted to do like at that time? Like, do you
Yeah,
remember what it was
yeah.
specifically you wanted to do?
I wanted to just like write lyrics. Like that was
Hmm.
the only thing. And because I remember I was, whenever I told people about it, I would be like, oh, me and Felix are like a producer rapper duo. Like
Hmm.
that's how I would advertise, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
But that was my original intention, because like I was really interested in Eminem at the time. Like Eminem was like, you pretty definitely know, but it was
Yeah.
like Eminem start, Eminem finish. It was like there's nothing in between. Maybe like Logic, because you introduced him to me, but,
Hmm. Do
but
Do
like
you
yeah, I
remember
was yeah.
before you like wanted to do like before you figure out like that you wanted to like rap and like write lyrics, like what you wanted to do before that?
Honestly, it was kind of like a mix. But the funny thing is, with writing lyrics, like what I'm doing now is like as a rapper and a producer, I'm kind of doing all of it. So before I wanted to be like, I remember a comedian. I wanted to be like an actor. I wanted
Hmm.
to be,
I remember that. I remember that
yeah,
specifically.
like what's it called? Uh, an inventor. Like, because I really like equipment and like making stuff and like
Hmm.
going on YouTube and watching tutorials and like um, doing projects and everything, like DIY stuff. So I was like
Yeah.
really into all that. And then technically by being a producer and a rapper, I became all of that, with lyrics. I could write stories that make people laugh. I can
Yeah.
become different characters. I could invent new kinds of music, my own kind of spin on different things. It's
Hmm.
like everything kind of came true. But um, yeah, there wasn't really anything in like specifically I wanted to be. I just knew that I wanted to go like towards an artistic direction, because like
Yeah.
I've always been like a really like very fluent in art and literature, and like sucks ass at math kind of student.
Same.
So we're kind of in the same, yeah. So
In the same ballpark there.
to go off of your question, yeah, so that like it was kind of not determined. And then one day I was at like a volleyball game, because I played volleyball in middle school,
Hmm.
and I remember I was listening to some like whack ass pop shit, because like
I
that's the
remember
only thing
that
I
this
knew
story.
in terms of music, right? And then all of a sudden some kid comes over, and I don't want to show him that I'm listening to this like whack ass, like I don't know, it was whatever was on the radio at that time.
Yeah,
Like
I was
that's
listening to like
how
Katy Perry or some shit.
I don't even know. It was it was something like that in that class. But and I wanted to switch it over to rap, because I knew rap music was what kids liked. So
What the
I sounded
kids
so
these days
old.
are
I
listening
sounded
to.
so old. In middle school, I was like an old man. But anyway, so I switched over to rap, and the only rapper that I knew at the time was Eminem, because my mom liked Eminem. So like
Mhm.
I knew Eminem. So like I went Eminem, and I knew Without Me. So like that was the one song that I knew. And it was like
Yeah.
na, 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 na. So I clicked that song, I played it, and then he just came and said, "What do you listen to?" I'm like, "Dude, I listen to Eminem." And he's like, "Oh shit, I like that guy." And he walks away. So I'm like, "Okay, now I can change it."
Thank God he's gone.
He's gone. Oh, now, but I look at my phone and I'm about to change it, and then I start listening to it. I'm like, wait a second, this is actually like this is good. Like
Mhm.
this is what 13-year-old me like, dude, this rocks, bro. So then I go home. Of course, being me, I memorize all the lyrics, right? So
Mhm.
I can, to the point where I can write them down like an essay. And like the next day I keep reciting them, and then just, basically shoving in everyone's faces that I can memorize the
Yeah.
lyrics. And then at that point it was just like, because I was originally really interested in literature. I was really good at it. I was really good at writing, and
Mhm.
it just kind of naturally transferred over.
Yeah.
And since you were like at that time just getting started with making beats, it
Yeah.
was like a perfect sort of combination.
Yeah. True.
And from there, I was like, writing, and then I got interested in making beats um, because I remember you were showing me how to do this stuff, and it looked really fun.
Hmm.
Because I always love playing around with programs. I love putting stuff together, and it
Yeah.
seemed really like interesting what you're doing. So I remember you started with like digital DAWs, and that was like your main forte, like with LMMS and like FL Studio. I think at the time that I started wanting to produce, you like moved to FL Studio.
Yeah. I think I
Um,
was using the demo version for a long time because I used the
yeah, I
demo
remember
version for
that
like months before I
for sure.
actually
And you couldn't
got
even
the full
properly
version.
save like a
Yeah.
file. I remember
Because
that.
I remember making like beats and shit like with you where I had to have the computer like open the whole time and like we
Dude, I
had to
remember.
make
And
the
then like
beat in one
if it went
sitting.
off, that was like it. Like it was
Yeah.
done.
And and I remember because I would have my computer on for so long and like when I would close it, I would like panic because sometimes you could open it back up again and it'd be fine, but sometimes
Mhm.
you would close it and then it would like
Right.
freeze, so then you would
Yeah.
lose your whole project.
And then
That shit
it's
was
done
ass.
for, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started learning, and actually I started with an MPC because that's just like what I thought was cooler at the
Hmm.
time. It was just like my taste, and that's what I was interested in, a lot of like older sort of '90s, early 2000s hip hop.
Yeah.
So like MPC, So I asked my dad to buy one me for my birthday, so I got one, and I started messing around. I uploaded beats on SoundCloud, and my first beat that I ever uploaded is still on SoundCloud, by the way, and I'll
Yeah.
link that in the description as well. But from there on, it was like uploading beats, and then I had no intention of like rapping on them at first. It was funny because I was interested in rapping first, and then producing, and then I wanted to put out beats, but I didn't want to rap on it because I was very like self-conscious about like my voice
Hmm.
and putting something out there for people to listen to. But I
Yeah.
guess beats were kind of less involved with me personally,
Yeah.
so it was like a detachment sort of thing. Um,
I remember like those
mm,
like back in the day when we were both uploading stuff to SoundCloud and we would like upload
yeah.
something and then be like, "Yo, bro, I just uploaded a new thing," and then we'd be like, "Yeah, I heard it," and then we would like talk about like the beats that we put
Dude,
up and stuff.
we would go to, which is a small like sort of park near our house,
I'll probably bleep
and
the name because it
oh right,
might be a little too close.
somewhere very far away from our house,
Really far away.
very right, and we would talk about like what we upload on SoundCloud, like, oh dude, I did this with the kick this time, bro. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
cool. I might try it again next time. Like crazy about that kind of stuff. We were just both music nerds, and that was what
yeah,
made us so good at what we did, though, because we were so interested and so into it that we would just like pull from everywhere that we,
yeah.
like loved.
Bro, so many people
Um,
don't even realize like a lot of people like anybody who is good at something they do is a nerd. Like
dude,
it's
you have to
100%
be,
true. Like you
dude,
have
you
to be a
have to
nerd,
be,
dude.
bro,
Like
because like
literally.
the definition of a nerd is knowing stuff that like if you said all of it in a conversation, people wouldn't follow, wouldn't be interested, and also like it wouldn't be necessary, in a
Yeah.
conversation. But like we
Information that
have to
no
know,
one else needs. Or just
right?
like seeing things that only pertain to like what you do and like geeking out over it. Like I remember seeing
Exactly,
these
right.
there's this guy on Instagram that Kenny Beats got this synthesizer from, and he makes these synthesizers like out of like wood, like he like woodworks them and stuff.
Oh shit,
And
yeah,
they're
yeah,
they're like I'll send you a link on Instagram because this
definitely.
guy's
I want to check
crazy.
that out. Yeah.
But these synthesizers are like freaking insane, and I remember just
Mm.
like seeing them and like totally geeking out over it. Like, and I was
Dude,
thinking like, bro, like no one else would have this
bro,
reaction over like a piece of wooden
bro, the
keyboard. You
the
know what I mean?
like the pages that we get excited about, like OP1 stuff,
Yeah.
like synth stuff, like guitar stuff,
No one
instruments.
else would
No,
care.
the followers are so like little compared to everything else. Like unless we're
Yeah.
talking about actual rap artists,
Yeah.
but like, dude, equipment. Like we're both like crazy over equipment too, because we'll like find like everyone like, oh, dude, the AW like 726. Like we would talk about like these headphones. I remember.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember I mentioned like the Audio Technica or whatever, and that was like a long ass name attached to it. But that was like the main pair that I was looking at. Um, but anyway, yeah, we would totally geek out over this stuff.
Yeah.
And as time went on, I just wanted, like, I just kept having an itch to like rap and put it out because I knew that I was to some extent like good at it, and I wanted
Yeah.
to express that. So I put it up on SoundCloud. The first song, just Accelerate, which I
Accelerate.
remember, dude, that was crazy.
Dude,
I
I remember.
remember.
I actually, it was funny because when you were making the like those first songs, or
Mhm,
well, that one specifically, I think,
mhm,
like you weren't even like as good at producing as you are now. Well, I mean,
mhm.
hopefully, like everybody like in the past is not as good, but I just remember like
Well,
some of
yeah, of
those beats
course,
like weren't even like that good. But that one
dude. No
specifically, I
way.
remember
Yeah.
that there was a couple notes that were off, and I heard it, and I was like,
Right,
"Yo,
right, right.
some of those notes are off."
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's why you put like produced by me also
yeah,
in
yeah,
the title because I changed like four notes in there and shit.
yeah.
But yeah,
Cause like I was very sensitive about like giving credit, because
mhm,
like I said, I was really interested in 90s and 2000s hip hop, and like the biggest thing back then was like giving respect where it's due, and like that
yeah,
whole attitude of like real is original, but if it's not, then you get like ghostwriters, like don't have ghostwriters, like that whole
right.
shabazz, like that was
Yeah.
like the main
I,
thing.
I feel
So
like that's an important like thing like that most people
definitely,
just
yeah,
completely forget these days. Like people will just take
right.
their shit that's just not theirs and just claim it as their only
So
important
like
thing.
even though those were those like 4 or 5 notes, I still felt like that was a contribution. So I wanted
Yeah.
to put your
And
name up
I did
there.
mix it too. But dude, I
You
remember
did mix
because
it,
I
yeah.
remember my mixes were so trash back then. Like, and mixing is not even like my thing. Like a lot of people who watch my channel don't even know that I mix vocals and stuff like
Because you
that
never
too.
talk about mixing at all, like really.
No, I have
Yeah.
like one video on mixing vocals, I think. But other than that, like I've never talked about it. But I have a lot of tracks that like I never have ever promoted, but that I've mixed for like a bunch of different people.
Mhm.
And that one I remember mixing, but I just remember thinking that like the only way to get the vocals to stand out is to just turn the
Dude,
melody down. So I just turned the melody down so
yeah.
quiet. And I remember like thinking back on it, I was just so stupid.
I remember the beat because I uploaded the instrumental separately, and then the instrumental actually went up first.
Hmm.
And then you would go from the instrumental and like dun 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 dun, and then you go to the song and be like dun dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun, dun, and then you have to like turn the volume up, and then after that it
And then
was
your vocals
opposite.
come in, it's just like yeah.
And
It's
then the
crazy.
next song I uploaded was opposite, which is also on SoundCloud, also going to be on my new album that's dropping. I'm going to talk about that pretty soon.
Swagger.
So like
What is the time difference in which you uploaded the first one and that one?
it was in the springtime. It was in April, and opposite was uploaded when it was getting cold, like in
Hmm.
November. So it might have been longer. It probably was like 6 or 7 months, a
That
gap
was my
between
other
those.
guess. I was thinking at
Yeah,
least like something like 3 months or something like around like 7 months.
yeah. It was probably closer around 7 months. I think that was more accurate
Yeah.
for sure.
But I mean
But
that
yeah,
makes sense because it's like people also don't realize how much time it takes time it takes to just like do things that no
dude,
one else knows about, like just
bro.
practice, like hours and hours and hours of practice, like. And of the beats that I have like released everywhere, that's like such a small fraction of all the beats that I've ever made. Like I have
The
like probably like
same way
500 made.
that you have literally like terabytes of beats that you haven't released,
Yeah,
I literally have notebooks and like pages and pages and pages in my phone of like
I'm sure.
lyrics that
Yeah,
I've written, and like full on like 3 verse songs, and
right.
like oh my god, I've done so much writing. um and you've done so much producing, and also I've done a lot of producing as well, but
Yeah.
I did don't want to brag, but I do like do both,
Yeah.
but,
No, yeah, but for
anyway.
sure, like there's so much stuff like that, and even like with anything else too, like people who are like a boxer or some shit like
Yeah,
that,
like
like
athletes for
yeah,
sure.
athletes, they put in so much time in the gym, like painters, like people see like people painting like super like hyper realistic drawings and stuff, and it's like, oh, like I wish I could do that, like I could probably do that, like no, dude, like it
Or they
takes
think,
so long
or
to do
another one,
that.
they think like, oh man, like I look at this and I feel like, oh man, I can't draw, I suck at drawing.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, do you realize the amount of time that it is taken for them to draw
Yeah,
like this, like to
right.
draw that question mark, like
Dude,
bro.
my thing is like if you, oh my god, I keep hitting my desk and my camera just goes like. But yeah, like if anything, if there's anything
Mhm.
that you look at and you're like, oh my gosh, like I suck at this, like I'm never gonna be good at it. Like instantly my thought is like, that's just something you shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? Because like,
Right.
if you have to, if you
Mm.
look at that and that's your first thought, that's probably not something you should do. Like, if you look
Or
at it and you're like, I'm gonna do this regardless because like it's just fun to do, then it's something you should do. You know what I mean?
I definitely agree with that. But I do feel like this. Or if you look at this, say like, oh, I suck at that, right?
Yeah.
But
But I'm gonna
I feel
keep getting
like
better.
right. But like if you say like, oh man, I suck at that. But until that changes, then you will suck at that.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Because like
Yeah.
you'll that's the mindset that you carry into learning, and when you're lessons like, oh, I'll never be better than this, I'll never be better than that. Then you
Right,
will,
because it's
then you
just like,
won't.
oh, I suck at this, like it's never gonna get better. But it should
Right.
always, your mindset should always be like, oh, like I suck at this, but like whatever, I'm still gonna try to get
Right.
better and be the best like
Or
version of myself
right.
at
Or
this
like,
thing.
oh, I suck at this and I'm not where I want to be, but like, oh, I did this much, or like I did this, or like
Right.
I accomplished this better than last time. Like those small things are what allow people to build that sort of
Yeah.
brick tower thing to
Sometimes
success,
it's
to being
important
good
to
at it.
just like take a step back and be like, wow, look at
Oh,
how like
sure.
far
Yeah.
I've came like from this point in time or whatever, you know what I mean? Because I feel like
Yeah.
everybody tries to make it like everything just a competition with something else or somebody else, but it should
Yeah.
always be like a competition with yourself, like, look back and be like, I can now do this thing better than I could, at this point in time. So
Right.
like
Exactly.
it always should just be like a race against yourself rather than, anybody else.
I feel like that was the hardest thing for me when I was working on music and just keep doing that because like first of all there weren't any like real I would say like lyricists to look up to in our community because
Yeah.
first of all not a lot of rappers, second of all not a lot of rappers that I would say are like
Lyricists.
lyricists like
Yeah.
superior to the point where I'd be like I want to be like them and I want to learn from them, I
Right.
want to talk to them like
Because that's the thing, is that most of
mm,
the people that were in our area were not the same kind of like style as you or the style that you
right
wanted to
yeah
do. So like, and literally cannot even think of one. Like thinking about it now, I can't really even think of one.
yeah
Or, like anybody who takes it seriously, you know what I mean?
for
Like, because
sure yeah
there's some people like, obviously like and shit, and like those were definitely two, like, I guess, role models near the
right
end there. But yeah, other than that, like there was really no one else like of our age who we could be
right
like, oh, like we want to like get to like know this person better, or like, learn from this person, not only just for like, personal benefit, but just because it's like,
for sure yeah
important to be around people who, are share your interests and like have similar kind of, like skills and talents as you.
because like you know I didn't really have anyone to tell me like oh this is you did this better than last time because I don't know like even if I did something better than last time I wouldn't know if that was better or not, you kind of get
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. The only people we
Right.
had to do that was like each other, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That was like
literally bro, we
the
tried our
only
best.
support
Yeah.
system. Yeah.
Yeah. But like we just kept doing that back and forth. I got better at it, and then once I graduated high school, I came out to Korea to visit my family. And before Corona, so like in January of this year,
Yeah, literally right
and
before.
right, yeah, literally. And then I was supposed to go back in August, so this past August, to go to college in Chicago for music, but pandemic hit, can't go back. Rather push it a year because here I'm preparing my album. I featured on like 2 or 3 songs already, and I've gotten so much better at producing. There's a lot of like people I can look up to here, a lot of teachers, a lot of great musicians that have come before me, obviously. Um,
Music
so there's a
video
lot of
too.
yeah, a music video that I shot, which I will update everyone on as soon as it comes up. We shot it. It's probably gonna come out in about like 10 days, I want to say. But yeah, I mean, we've just been working so hard in these
Yeah.
past years. It's hard to sum it up like in a nutshell because there's so much stuff that we haven't talked about. We just wanted like condense it a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's pretty generalized, like the whole
Right.
journey, And yeah, like
Yeah.
when you think about it, like there's so many little things here and there, like so many little things that have like helped us along the way, and so many
For
little,
sure. And I'm
things here
sure
and
that we'll
there.
talk about that more as we put out more episodes and there's
Yeah.
like more chances to talk about it.
Right.
But yeah, like I mean, to give an idea of what we're going to talk about, I feel like this is a pretty good start. Yeah,
Do
go
you
ahead.
think that
Sorry.
you could have done the same things you're doing now if you had stayed here?
Definitely not. 100% not. I would
Yeah.
be holed up in my basement trying to record something facing a mattress. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, like, I would just be doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I wouldn't get anywhere. And
Yeah, and I think the thing is too that you wouldn't have known what you're doing right now is like, you know what I mean? Like a
definitely,
more professional
100%.
side of everything, you would never have
Right.
seen that over here. Especially because I think your like coronavirus cases are like better where you are, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you
Although
can like
at the
perform at
time of
places.
recording, it's like shit.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it is here too,
anyway,
but I mean,
yeah.
whatever.
But during that time period where I was performing and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So
Um,
it's like you can do all that like performing and stuff and have like a little bit
yeah,
more lenience. Like over here, there's no way that you could have performed or done any of that kind of
for
stuff.
sure.
And plus there
Yeah,
like you said, you don't really have like a musical mentor over here.
for sure.
Or like
Yeah.
anybody to really like look up to like musically that can like help you out. So
I think we were discussing this, but we didn't go into detail about how when I came here, like I first started with performing with my teacher actually, who taught me like music theory about performing and about just like in general teacher as a musician who's come before me. He's like an amazing jazz pianist, but I'll probably talk about him in a different section. But
mhm.
He has a band that he plays with, and people who've seen my Instagram probably have seen this, but I freestyle rap with a jazz band that also happens to freestyle. So none of their performances are planned. So it kind of matched up really well because it's like
Yeah.
freestyle rap with freestyle jazz because it's like all that. So like I performed at
I
jazz
never even thought
bars.
about that actually. That's actually a good point.
Yeah, I think that was like one of the original sort of ways that people performed rap also back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Was like they would have like a live like jazz like music like accompaniment and then they would rap on top of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is pretty funny because I didn't know that, and then I just started recording. I just started performing.
Hmm.
But yeah, as in doing that, I learned what it's like to rap in front of an audience, especially something as kind of vulnerable as freestyling. I guess somebody could say it's vulnerable because it's like
Yeah.
it's everything in the moment, right?
We should talk about hip hop shop like just a little bit too.
Oh
Because
shit!
I think
I
even though that
I
was like a
totally,
weird
yeah,
time, I think that's like a
definitely. But
importance.
it's noteworthy,
Yeah.
definitely, because it was like the start of us trying to do something more productive, more official, more sort of getting everyone together into sort of one thing and
Yeah.
trying to put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole freestyling thing actually started with me trying to form a hip hop club with Felix, like at our school.
Yeah.
So we were gonna call it Hip Hop Shop because I think I got the idea from 8 Mile. I think one of the like events that they had in the movie was called like Hip Hop Shop or something, and I thought that was
Mhm.
like dope as hell at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember you and I were talking like, oh, we wish that we had like a studio in the school. We wish that they supported us more.
Yeah, we
Like
were literally walking up the stairs. So we would come in the doors.
yeah,
We live really close to each other. Like he's like a minute walk from my house. So like we would get on the same bus every day to the school. We'd get off the bus. We'd go in through the front doors, and we would go up the same staircase every day. And this one day we were walking up the stairs, and we were talking about how this one kid. I'm not gonna say his name. He had a studio in his school, whatever school he was going to. He had a studio, and I was like, "Yo, that's sick! Like, we need something like that." So it started off with us like saying that we wish we had a studio or like
right,
any
yeah,
sort of musical like area where we could, just record or whatever. And then we were like, "Yo, like, what if we actually just made like a club that was like a studio, like a recording club?" You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like, well, it would probably be more practical to do some sort of like, performance, like rap performance or something like that.
yeah,
Um, and eventually we just got like a pretty decent like handful of kids to just come and like rap or whatever. And I mean half the time it was just
right.
like kind of whatever. Like some kids didn't really rap, but it was mostly just
I
like
mean,
you kind of
if I'm
performing, like
really being
spitting
honest,
fucking
like
bars.
half the time it was me rapping in front of everyone. Like
Yeah.
like let's be honest here.
Yeah, true. But I mean it was entertaining though, and it definitely helped
Right.
you, I think, too,
Oh, dude, it
because
was huge. Yeah,
because
for
just like
sure.
having that like little outlet where you like can perform in front of people who are like kind of like your friends, but like kind of like a little bit
Yeah,
like
like
distant.
acquaintances, we'll call them for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. It kind of helped to like build
Yeah.
up that like it's kind of like a middle ground for like performing in front of your like straight up friend, like performing in front of me and then performing in front
Right.
of like, you know, complete strangers. It was kind of like a
Yeah,
good middle
yeah.
ground, I think. And I
Because
think I was the
yeah,
only producer there too. So I would just like
dude, you just
sit
like
there and
make
kind of
beats the
make
whole time,
beats. Yeah.
or like play them on the screen, and we'd like try to
Yeah.
rap to them and stuff. I
And
remember
I
that.
would tell them like beats because like I would always like look up like good beats to play,
Oh yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
like I always knew just like good beats, good like kind of old school type of beats because it was more
Right.
like oriented towards like the more like old school with like 90s kind of style, and I always knew those type of beats. So like we just had like a whole like playlist to play while we
Yeah.
were there. I remember a couple meetings we just like wrote like lyrics and stuff, and
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
vibed out to some beats,
Because the
and
reason
just
why
different
we
stuff
were
like
all
that.
writing lyrics at the same time was the end goal of like mission, I guess we set. Because half of it was we had to have a mission for the club to get started, and
Hmm.
half of it was we just wanted to have one so that we would, be able to tell people what we were doing.
So we
Was
had
to,
kind of a direction for the
right, a
club. Yeah.
direction, right? It was to have everyone on one song. So every like rapper in the group would
Hmm.
be on an end of the year sort of cipher.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is we actually managed to do that. And
Yeah,
I have the
we did record
file
the song.
somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah,
we did
I
record that.
definitely have it somewhere. And I think what did we have like 5, 6 rappers on it? And
We did.
we recorded it in the so there's like a room where like all the orchestra and band kids play that was like pretty soundproofed. So we went in there and we recorded it like in the corner of like the
Remember that.
bleachers in the wall.
Yeah.
And
We
it was okay sound
we got
quality
like the
actually.
pads like this so that we wouldn't hear any like reverberations and all that. You were just sitting
Yeah.
there like kind of like half like this with like your keyboard or with
Yeah.
your laptop, and
Yeah,
then you were
dude,
just like
I
hitting
was sitting
record and like
on the bottom step of the bleachers, and I had my
you
computer on
look
the
so
top step of the bleachers.
uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable. It was definitely uncomfortable, that's for sure. It's funny to talk about it now, and it's like, wow, that must have sucked. But it was like so much fun when we were doing it, though, you know.
It really
Because part
was.
of the whole fun was like not even the club. It was like looking for a room to do the club in, like
Exactly.
that, at least in
Exactly.
my opinion. Because I remember we
Right,
were looking
because
at piano
yeah,
recording rooms. We were looking at different stuff like
we
that.
were especially focused on like having a place where we could say what we wanted because it was a school environment, so we had to like keep it
Yeah,
PG and all that. But the the specialty of the group was like we would go in and whatever we say in the group doesn't leave the group.
yeah.
It's like Vegas, whatever happens in Vegas stays in
Stays
Vegas.
happens in Vegas. Stays in Vegas.
Right.
Yeah.
But we could swear as long as we didn't call out each other's families. I think that was a policy. Don't call
Yeah,
each other's
don't talk about
families.
anybody's moms or anything like that.
Dude, I remember that. We would like try to battle and shit, but that I would be the only one saying like, oh, like rhyme this and rhyme that, blah blah blah, and then there'd be like a 6-bar pause or some shit, and then it'd be like, yeah, yeah. I think we're
Do you
going the
remember?
same
I'll
direction.
probably cut this part out, but do you remember when said the N word
Bro,
and I was just like,
dude, he
I
came in
fucking
and he
hated that
started
kid.
pointing fingers at everyone. I almost punched him in the face because he started pointing fingers at my face, like, what do you
I
rap
know,
for? I'm like, I don't know, because I want to gain some recognition. At the time, I just gave him some half-ass answer. He's
I
like,
know,
okay,
same.
bro. And then he's like, what do you rap for? What do you like produce for?
It was
He's
so
like trying to
weird.
be this cool motivation when he was the biggest
Yeah,
loser in the
he was
entire
trying to
room.
be like a motivational speaker and shit. That was
Like,
such an
who
odd
does he
time.
who did he think he is,
I
bro?
know, like
Like,
coming into our club and being like, bro, what are you here for? Oh, I'm here because I made the club, dumbass. Maybe that's why. But yeah, I mean,
um,
sometimes that's how you got to deal with people like that. You just
I
kind of
mean, yeah.
nod and say okay and just like move
Because there's
on.
going to be like a lot of assholes online, and there's going to be a lot of assholes that you work with in studios,
Yeah.
especially you being a producer, bro. Producers, I feel like have to go through the mud of the bullshit, like the bullshit, and there's like the mud that's on the bottom. You guys have to go
Oh
through
yeah.
that because God, like people are just so assholes about like people who are very important, who
Mhm.
like some people could say they're in the background because they make like the music that's in the background, but technically that's like 50% of the song.
Yeah,
But people
true.
don't seem to think that's important, and like they'll say, "Oh, I'm going to use this or I'm going to use that." They'll either record it or not, right?
Right.
And
And even even like
they'll never release it.
engineers to some extent, like get that too. But the thing with engineers, because everybody always says like engineers are, they don't get enough credit. But the thing with
Right.
engineers is that it's pretty clear cut. Like it's pretty clear cut what you're gonna get like
Exactly.
when you're an
Right.
engineer. Like with the producer, you have to always work out like royalties and stuff, and you have to work out like, is this person gonna like pay for the exclusive? Are they gonna
Right.
buy your beat, or it's like what's gonna happen with
And
this?
that's why I say you guys are like going through the mud, the bullshit, because like literally people will drag on you so much,
Yeah,
and people will say shit about your like beats and music, and I could go into detail about this, but it's because people are ignorant about like the process of what goes into it. Maybe
yeah,
this beat just doesn't fit with them, or maybe it's them that's kind of like not, able to, substantially fit into this or like whatever,
yeah,
but they'll think there's something wrong with the beat. They'll think there's something wrong with what you're doing on the technical side rather
yeah.
than, consider maybe it's like, maybe they're just not fit with this or something like that. Or
Right.
they'll just be completely irresponsible with how they handle credits and like
Yeah.
usage of the beat and everything like that.
Yeah,
But
and the whole like paying for beats thing is such a big like drag. Like people who are like, "Oh
dude,
yeah, bro, like can you make me some beats for free?" Like, "Bro,
yeah,
do you
people
think
ask
I
for
have
beats for
time to
free,
make you
like
beats for free? I'm
yeah.
filming a video for
Mhm.
4 hours, then I'm editing this video for like 20 hours.
Right.
And then the time that I have to like practice making music like at this point in
It's
time
limited.
is very limited. Do you think
Right.
I'm going to spend my time making you a free Do you genuinely think that I'm gonna make you a free beat?
I mean, for real, that's it's super like
Yeah,
douchebaggy of them to consider that
dude,
yo,
100%.
this isn't Goodwill Studio. Like, I'm not gonna give
Right,
you shit for free. I'm not gonna work for you and just not expect
dude.
anything back.
And,
Like,
and that's the thing
what?
too. I think I saw somebody post, like somebody who's a producer of some sort, post it was like a meme that was like, "Oh, why are your beats so expensive?" And then there was just a picture of all their equipment and the prices of all their equipment. Like, bro, this electric guitar is $200.
Dude,
This
yeah,
keyboard $100. This interface alone $100.
it's like the bare minimum, right? Because
Right.
like as
Because the
teenagers,
the
as being what we
time
are,
is more
we're
important than anything.
right. Like people operate on a budget, but they still have to like go through, excuse me, this process of like finding this equipment and buying this equipment and buying
Yeah.
that. If something's broken, replacing, getting new plugins to keep up with like the trends, the time of what people want, and like tools that I can use to make new music. Like,
Right.
because obviously I produce, so I know, like, I pretty much know like what am I trying to say here? Like, I definitely know the like struggle that goes behind trying to find equipment and trying to maintain it, and
Right.
like because like you reach this line where like you want to buy something that's budget and something that'll do the trick, but also at the same time like
You
you
want like
know
quality, something that's gonna,
right, if it's gonna
doing
be
the
like
trick is the number one thing, really.
right, it has to work, but like trying to find that line where it's like towing it, where it's like, okay, I can cut this much off of the expense with sacrificing very little of the quality, but
Yeah.
it's like, how can you manage that, balance that? So
Right.
it's an
And
algebra
even
equation.
like, bro, I've been looking like a lot more into like analog synths and stuff because I love that kind of vintage sound. And like
Definitely, yeah.
when you have analog synths, not only are these synths like $1,000 each, but you also have to pay for aux cables and stuff to
Mhm.
connect your synths. You have to
Right.
pay for, bigger cables
You have to pay for an
to
audio interface to connect
audio
all that
interface.
stuff.
Yeah, a
Right.
big audio interface too,
A
which
big
costs a
one.
lot of money. You have to
Exactly.
pay for, the power to run them things.
Hmm.
You have to also pay for, well, the thing is, if you have expensive synths, it's usually worth it to pay for like things to keep your gear protected. So like, like
A
deck savers and
case or
stuff,
like,
like yeah.
yeah.
Just stuff that like will help protect, and like synth racks also. If you have a bunch of synth
Exactly.
racks, that right
Because
there
they're
is
delicate
so expensive.
instruments.
Yeah,
Right. Because you want
exactly.
to take care of them.
Right.
Sometimes there are those things where if you get one of the more recent ones, you want to keep up with presets that people make as well. So
Hmm.
sometimes you have to pay for those like subscriptions and stuff.
Yeah.
And depending on what kind of producer you are, sometimes that's a necessity. Sometimes
Yeah.
that like if you're learning how to do synths, but you want to use it and you want to put it in your production. Sometimes people pay for presets. Sometimes people pay for like repairs and damages when they happen, because
Yeah.
it's a piece of physical equipment. Sometimes there's
Right.
going to be like shit that happens.
Yeah, exactly. Everything.
Also, don't even get me started on sound treating your room. bro.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Oh my God.
that's a nightmare, bro. Especially if you're operating from like your like bedroom or something, because
Mhm.
there's so many like dissatisfactions you just have to like cope with. Because what are you gonna
Like
do?
base plates, like the ones that
Mhm.
you put like in the corners of your room, them
Yeah, like
shits are
bass
like
traps,
200. Yeah, base straps. They're like $200.
bro. A
Literally
piece,
so
like
expensive.
not
Yeah,
a set,
a
a
piece.
piece,
Yeah,
bro.
they're so expensive. And these things that I have, like these little acoustic foams, like these
Hmm.
are not even like anywhere near the most like
Yeah,
effective or expensive
right.
acoustic treatment. Like they get the job done for the most part, but like
Exactly.
bro,
Yeah.
and the thing people don't even realize too is that you have to like if you're operating in like a smaller room, like if you have like an apartment building or something, you need
Hmm.
more acoustic treatment because you
Yeah.
also need to like kind of soundproof because there's a difference between acoustic treating and
And
soundproofing
soundproofing,
because
right.
soundproofing is like even more heavy duty because if you're
Hmm.
getting like noise complaints and stuff and you want to actually listen to your music like at a reasonable volume,
Right.
like you have to like soundproof your room then
Right.
acoustically treat it because you need an actual good sound and stuff.
Right.
And there's also, let alone not only just that and the money that you put into that, also a lot of time that you spend researching what is the best way to treat
And
your room
also like
acoustically.
part of the music making process, and here's a big one that people don't consider, is the like feelings and the mood associated like with the process of making music.
One
So
million
like
percent
if you can't comfortably listen to your music for an extended period of time at like a reasonable volume, like you said, where like you have
Yeah.
like noisy neighbors, or if you're in like a sort of uncomfortable space, that
Mhm.
that takes a big toll on like the work that you can get done in like one session of you sitting down, because like everyone has
100%.
their own schedules. Even just a small change in the room can completely wreck that or make that so much better and like cause like the next big song idea to like happen because you're just comfortable in your space and you can work there for a comfortable extended period of time, you know?
1,000,000%, dude. Like
Right.
even like small stuff like this, like just the
Hmm.
lights in the background and stuff, just add like a whole new like vibe,
Exactly.
and just
Yeah.
small stuff like that can add like a lot of inspiration. And even like depending on, so I have these LED lights like around the back of my desk, like
Hmm.
so what color things are can affect your mood like in big ways. So like
Definitely.
blue has been known to like boost creativity, like yellow has been known to like boost your like alertness and like awareness,
Hmm.
attentiveness, stuff like that. Red has been known to be more of like a, I guess like a serious color, just different stuff like that. Like the color that things
There's
are
like a
have
whole
such a
science
big
behind it. I actually
impact.
didn't know this.
Yeah, there's
Mm-hmm.
totally like a whole science behind colors, like not just like lights, but
Mm-hmm.
what your setup is. You know what I mean? Like if you have like like blue walls or green walls, something like that, it can affect how your brain thinks and stuff like that. So it's pretty. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on just
Bro,
that. I think it's a really
we
interesting
can
thing.
we can literally make an entire episode about talking about like what goes into like making the mood for producing and like different moods and different that and
Yeah.
how to make emotions appear and like producing and like writing lyrics. And that's another thing a lot of people don't consider is when you're dealing with other people who are in the music community, who are making music, who are even listening to music, that mood of that climate of what's going on, with even like world news, like with Corona and stuff, and even stuff in a personal like matter, like maybe
Hmm.
they have a hard time going on in their life or something. But that kind of stuff can really affect how you listen to music, what kind of music that you would like,
Yeah.
what kind of music that you look for, what kind of music that you create and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't understand that. They're like, you know, like, oh, my music is like great. Why aren't people listening to it? You're like, this music
Mm.
is fire. Like, why aren't people listening to this? People have no taste. Like, people who talk like that are just salty because they just don't make music that grabs people's attention.
Yeah.
Like,
I think yeah, that's a
all
big
right,
thing is that like a lot of people who get really wrapped up in that, like because there's kind of two different mentalities that can happen when that's like a thing. Like the one is what you said, like people who are like blame other people because they think their
right,
stuff is the best, and then the people who are like, what can I do differently to make this better so people listen to it,
right.
because like those are the two mentalities, and like obviously
Yeah.
one is a little bit better than the other.
Yeah, just a tad.
But yeah,
Um,
and also the like a big thing, like like probably the biggest thing to be honest is like the mood when you are making music like really translates to like the music that people hear, because like
Yeah, for
let's say
sure.
you listen to like let's say even it translates with beats. Like obviously it
Hmm.
translates a lot more strongly with, when you're rapping, but
Hmm. Hmm.
well, also it translates the most strongest when you the mood when you're making the beat is like connected with the mood when somebody's recording, which is
Like when
why
people are in the
making the
same
beat,
room,
yeah,
like
which is
rappers
why,
and
right, yeah, the vibe is the strongest when you like make a beat
right,
there and somebody raps over it like
raps over it.
right on there.
Kenny
Yeah.
beats the cave.
Right. Yeah. People who just sit there like in their room, like, in the dark and like make beats and shit, like those beats are usually the most like lifeless, I guess you could say. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Though that beat, even if it's more complicated and it has cooler shit, like cooler transitions and stuff, like it's gonna be nowhere near as much of a vibe as somebody who just makes like a simple, like chill ass lo-fi beat, with the
right.
homies. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
that beat
yeah, yeah,
is gonna be the beat that people listen to because that energy kind of like
definitely.
translates through.
An example that's very close to us is if you go on my SoundCloud and listen to Guess What?
I
That
was gonna say
was
that exact one.
right. That was an example of a song that we made in the same room. I wrote all the lyrics. And I think we recorded it on the same day or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Um,
Or we recorded, you recorded the beginning part and then you recorded the rest like when I
the
was
rest,
home
and
or
I sent it
something.
to you that evening,
Yeah,
which
and I think I mixed it
right.
that evening too. It was all within like a
Yeah.
6 hour span, pretty much.
Right, right, right.
So that song, like, there's nothing really that crazy about it, but
Yeah.
like it goes hard, and you can just tell that it was very organic and very natural.
We were like in the same mindset. And I think that makes a big difference because that was the first song that you produced the beat entirely and I just rapped over it.
That was just one of the
Um,
first songs I produced in general, I think, to be honest. Like it was one of the first like
oh, for
songs that
real?
anybody
Really?
rap. Yeah, I think, well, actually there was one or
Oh,
two other ones before that, but like that was
right.
the first one. And I think that was a good thing to like
Hmm.
for the first really song that I made,
Hmm.
for it to be like actually with somebody,
Hmm.
like like
Yeah, 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 in the
organically, and
same
like
room.
have like a
Yeah.
natural experience, because that kind of helps you like think of like what somebody's going to use, and it shows you like you don't have to overcomplicate things, because I notice a
Yeah.
lot of these like newer producers and stuff, like younger producers. I say that I'm like not like a fucking 45-year-old man, but like, you
But
know what I mean, like,
people with less experience,
yeah,
I'd
people with
say.
life
Yeah.
experience, like they think that you need to just add everything into the beat, but it's not
Hmm.
like that. It's like almost the simpler your beat is, the
Right.
better it is, because that means that whatever rapper you're sending it to can flow over it, and have
Right.
space
Yeah.
to like, because the people don't think that like rappers think in a different way from them, because when you're a rapper
Mhm.
you think like, okay, this is how I'm going to structure the vocals. I can add,
Right.
double my vocals here, I can add ad libs here.
Yeah.
But like in a beat that has just like so much shit in it, they're like, okay,
Mhm.
I can't do anything with this. I can't
There's no
double my
space.
vocals
Yeah,
here because there's no
there's no
space.
flexibility with like, okay,
Right.
here I can add like a separate melody that goes like down when the main melody goes up. Like I've
Yeah.
done that in one of my new songs that's coming out on my album,
Yeah.
which by the way is going to be called Natural Born. It's going to drop later this month, so I will definitely post updates about that. Probably talk about it one more time in a different podcast. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, definitely because like another thing with Guess What was if you listen to the song and you at this point I was still pretty unexperienced as a rapper,
Mhm.
but it was one of those songs where I can definitely feel like my mood, my mentality, and the way I delivered the vocals and um, everything we did with the structuring really fit like you said organically with the
Yeah.
beat. So it just kind of like matched up to really get like together really well and just form like this package
Yeah.
that you can definitely tell that it was made in a very like well matching sort of attitude
Yeah.
environment. You get what I'm trying to say, right? So
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
yeah.
Because when a rapper or when a producer makes a beat, like you structure the beat in a certain way. Like sometimes a rapper is gonna want that beat or that song to be structured in a different way. So that's why,
Right.
like, really ideally what you want to do is make the beat straight right there with the rapper,
Hmm.
and have them kind of like almost co-produce it with you,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
obviously it's going to be, their song, or like both of your
Hmm.
guys' song. So
Right.
to have them be like, all right, I want this to be 16 bars, and then have this, there be a bridge here, and then this
Hmm.
like this. Or I mean, if
For
they
sure.
have the lyrics in mind, have them just send you their lyrics so like, okay, this needs to be 32 bars, this needs to be 8 bars, and so you can kind of
Right.
structure your thing around that.
Another thing is like
But yeah.
people don't realize how important an arranger is. Like if that's a separate role, because
Mhm.
like it's composer, like arranger, and all that. But like the the more that I produce, the more I realize, man, the arrangement like of when stuff comes in or what starts out, like the song is so important. Like
So important. Yeah.
the order at which vocals and stuff comes in, it's like it can change the song from being boring to be like, wow, this is like so interesting and like so
Yeah.
diverse and like, but it was a completely different song when I switched the bridge and the chorus like 2 minutes
Right.
ago. Like,
100%.
right.
And also, I think a lot of producers in general think that they just don't need to know anything about like song structure. And kind of that was me low key
Mm-hmm.
until more recently, like a couple months ago, I started learning more about like song structure and getting actually into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really important to know like this is where the verse is going to be, this is where the hook is going to be. So like if you want to add like a chorus, a pre-chorus, like this and
Right.
that, bridge, all that stuff, it's important to know those kind of terms in general. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
going to be working with anybody in a studio, any rappers or
Right.
engineers or whatever, it's important to know those kind of things. And those are things that I think a lot of producers skip out on, the same way that rappers will skip out on learning engineering things or producing things.
Dude,
Different
I was
roles will skip
literally
certain
just about to
things.
talk about that. But one thing that you and I talked about in a past conversation,
Yeah.
and because we both know this, is that just
Yeah.
because that you have a specialty and just because that you're going to leave the profession, like leave it to the professionals to do stuff that you're not so advanced in, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't know how to do them.
Right.
Because like you have to have a basic knowledge, like, and me as a rapper producer, like just because I make beats and rap over them doesn't mean that I shouldn't learn about mixing, about mastering,
Mhm.
about terms, about different technical aspects, like in even just simple stuff like like normalizing and like bouncing tracks out and like preparing them for a mix, um, and just like grouping them together, renaming them, cleaning them up.
Mhm.
Um, just stuff like um, you know even peaking. I noticed that a lot of people don't pay attention to peaking, which is kind of funny
Yeah.
because you would think from like our standpoint that it's really important, but like a lot of those people don't think from a mixer sort of standpoint. So
Yeah,
like
so they'll
if it
send
sounds
you
good, then
tracks that are like clipping like crazy and stuff.
exactly.
Like, bro, all you got to do is just put a little soft
Lim-
clipper, put a little
a soft
limiter
clipper
with a,
or a limiter, right?
yeah, something on it.
Or a
Because,
maximizer at least, some shit
yeah,
like
because,
that.
and the thing that's funny is that most people don't even realize that. But like, if I have like even with YouTube videos and stuff, if some of my vocals in my YouTube videos are like
Mm-hmm.
kind of clipping a little bit, most people would never even notice it. But like, I notice it and I'm like, oh my
Because you
God,
can
that's
hear that
bothering
little
me
like
so much.
like the
Yeah.
little noise that you. It's a
Yeah, it's
signature
like a
of them.
little bit of like a distortion kind of
Right,
thing going
right,
on with
right,
your
right.
vocals, and it just presses me out, just grinds my gears.
I remember I showed you my album. I showed you like the preview, the files over
Mm,
like a Zoom call,
mhm.
and I remember you noticed like the smallest transition that I did over one of my songs because it was like
Yeah,
the end part of the song, and I cut my vocals in and out, and I did like a like that, but it
yeah,
was really in the background. You're like, wait, stop, go back a couple
yeah,
seconds, and you're like, like I just want to listen to that part. No one,
yeah.
nobody will probably ever pay attention to that
Yeah, that is funny
because
because
your
I heard
producer
that one part and I
caught
was like,
that.
that was sick, and it was like
Right?
3 seconds of the song.
If one person would have noticed that, I would definitely would have bet like it being on like being you. But
Mm,
for sure you came through with that,
yeah, I got you. But yeah, for
dude.
sure. And
Um,
yeah, it's just it's crazy how much there is out there that people don't even realize that
mm,
is things that's important to know about. That's why it really annoys me when there's a lot of people who think they have the world figured out and think they kind of know everything. It's because like,
dude,
bro,
they
you do not know
like
nearly anything.
those types of people are they know inside, like even though they will never admit, they know inside that like they just don't know about these things that they talk 24/7 about. They just don't know the proper information. They don't have it. They don't have
Yeah.
like a even the drive to go out on YouTube and just do some basic like searching and find that wow, what I'm spewing nonsense about is completely wrong.
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah.
two different types of people when it comes to that. There's the person that that actually genuinely believes that they know everything and they're just like delusional. And then there's
Mhm.
the other type of person, like you said, who's just like makes it kind of seem like they know everything because they like, learned a couple fancy words or
Mhm.
something. In reality, they really don't know anything. And it's funny because
Yeah.
when you think about it, like, yeah, knowing everything and like knowing, a lot of, information about this and like, you can use Google, whoop-de-doo. But like at the
Dude,
end
the
of the
people who know
day,
the I sorry to cut you off, but the people who know the
you're good.
most actually are the most quiet. They don't
Yeah.
they talk about the least, which is the
Yeah.
funny part.
But it's funny because sometimes, like me and you, like
Mhm.
we know like a lot of we know fucking everything.
Bro.
But we know like a lot of, technical things like
Mhm.
producing things, music things, blah blah blah. But like sometimes it's important to like kind of step back and be like,
Oh
that
yeah,
doesn't
definitely.
matter because the
Yeah, yeah,
majority
yeah.
of people, like my audience, is not going to care. You know what I mean? It's like the
Because it
thing I was
comes to
saying
a
with the
point where
clipping,
like,
like no
yeah,
one notices that. Yeah, because
it's
there's
to a
certain
point
things that
where,
actually
yeah,
make a difference and certain things that just literally don't.
exactly. So we're the type of people where like we find a mistake or even something small. We're perfectionists, so we want that not to be a thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as time goes on, we both learn that it's not worth wasting our effort
Oh
and
yeah.
our sweat over something that is not going to make a difference
Oh yeah.
in the end. Like who the hell is going to pay attention to this? Who is going to know this? I'm the only one who's going to
Right.
know this. So unless it really bothers me, unless it's like a needle up my ass, and there's no need for
Right.
me to be
Yeah, for
obsessed over
sure.
about it.
Like you sometimes you do just got to work smart, not hard, you know
For
what I
sure.
mean? Like
Yeah.
but I mean for me, I noticed that I like obviously it's just depends on your personality. I know
Of
for me
course.
personally,
Yeah.
like there are certain things that just bug the shit out of me, and like if there's something that like is like very very small, but I'm
Mhm.
gonna notice it, like I
Mhm.
have to change it, and that's just the way I've always been.
Yeah. I'm
Like
the same way,
it's
bro.
yeah,
Like.
it's probably some like lower form of OCD or something, but
Mhm.
like if there's something like out of place, I just it must be fixed. Kind of having that
Yeah.
mentality really helps with music though, because you can
Yeah.
kind of perfect most things, even if you do kind of
And you
waste a little bit
catch
of time
them
here and there, like
right,
you'll
and you catch
perfect
them
things that
like
are
a lot
important.
easier,
Hmm.
and because the more that you listen for those kind of things, the more that you catch them, and the less mistakes that you make, and also the more that you learn if you have that
Yeah,
open sort of mindset as well.
maybe we could just probably end on like kind of what we're working on at the moment, because we kind of
Oh,
started with how we started out, and now we could just discuss
so
what we're up to. Yeah, well, basically at this point in time, just kind of working a lot on YouTube, and kind of truthfully, I never really thought that I would be working as much on YouTube as I am now. I always
mhm.
thought I would be kind of like 90% making beats, 10%
Right.
YouTube, but kind of the majority of what I do revolves around YouTube, because it's always like always on my mind is like I gotta film this video, I gotta edit this video, like
Yeah.
I gotta make, and also I gotta make beats so I can have background music for my video. You know what I mean?
So it's like it
Um,
goes hand in hand.
yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand. But yeah, I kind of more recently I have been kind of struggling to make beats, I guess.
Mm.
Um, but I've been getting a little bit back into it now. I've been kind of teaching myself piano a lot better because I've been able to play piano
Mm.
before, but I'm just kind of like really getting into it now and like, applying like what I know about
Mhm.
music theory to actually, physical like doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like before mostly I just had this like knowledge of like what I would see on the screen, like, freaking vertically,
Mhm.
like in FL Studio.
Yeah.
Um,
Piano roll.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, in the piano roll, but now I can apply it to like an actual piano, kind of just kind of working
Sick,
on
bro.
that.
Do
So
you play
so
the
that it's
piano sideways as well?
yeah, I just
Is that more
play the
comfortable for you?
piano. Like, how some like gamers like have their keyboard like, tilted so that they can like easily do like WASD.
No,
That's
you
me
play it
like
like this. Like
yeah, I play like a guitar. I'm just like
yeah, bro. You're strumming chords,
yeah,
bro.
strumming the keyboard. But yeah, for sure just kind of working on doing things to like inspire myself a little bit more, like learning more music theory stuff so that I can
Yeah,
just have like a better like basis, I guess. But yeah,
dude,
that's
that's
been
sick, bro. 10K,
yeah, 10K soon.
10K.
But I have this
Oh shit, secret.
song with the younger one coming out soon.
Ooh, I saw that. I saw you post about that, bro. I'm
Yeah,
very excited about that because
I'm hyped for that.
this is like one of your biggest collabs, yeah, right?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be
Dude,
it's gonna be pretty big. He's got like 100K on Instagram, I think,
bro,
and
we definitely
he
gotta
has like
talk about that when
eight
that
hundred
drops.
thousand monthly listeners, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be huge for sure.
Yeah,
You said he's gonna be on his album, right?
Yeah, people have been waiting on
Dude.
this for a long time actually because he posted the snippet on his Instagram
Mhm.
a while ago. I think it's been up there since like April of 2019 or something. It's been up there for a
Damn.
while. And people still comment like to this day, like, "Bro, you gotta drop this. Bro, you gotta drop this."
As for me, I got something coming along the way too. I've been spending the last like 9, 10 months working on an album, and I've been growing in the process. So it's this whole thing about this podcast being a record for ourselves is also sort of something I learned from making this album,
Hmm.
because this album that's called Natural Born, I mentioned it once, really it's like this, almost like a chronicle of me growing from the start. And you probably will be able to see it if you listen to the album. But that's been my biggest project right now. I've been just keep producing music, keep writing lyrics, shooting music video,
Hmm.
doing performances. Now it's kind of not possible because Corona's gotten a lot worse. But
Yeah, yeah.
I was set to perform at like 3 festivals. One of them was in
Dang.
September, one of them was in November, and I think one of them actually was in July. I forgot about that one. But I'm sure there'll be a bunch of other greater opportunities in the future.
Yeah, of course,
So everyone stay tuned for that. I'll definitely update you guys on that. Late
for
this
sure.
December. The date is not set yet.
For
But
sure. That's pretty dope. I'm hyped for that to drop. I have heard it and it's dope. Some of the songs in there are like definitely like
dude,
especially bangers
thank you. Appreciate it.
and once they're recorded and like mixed and everything, it's gonna be like high quality, like mainstream quality type of stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so we
hyped.
both got big things on the way. I'm sure in future episodes we'll definitely talk about that. But for today, I think we should wrap it up before it gets too long, because we can sit here and talk about stuff all day because that's what we
Yeah, for
usually
sure.
do. But for the sake of an episode, right?
Yeah, I think
Um,
it's probably good that we ended off here. Yeah,
yeah,
thank you
we'll
guys for joining
yeah.
us on this little journey. Whoever may watch this podcast,
We're going to be uploading an episode weekly, so once every week. So make sure you stay tuned and catch those. But as for today, we'll be signing off right now.
for sure.
It was the Balancing Shoes Podcast, episode 1 with Cyrus and Cho and Felix Hamilton. That's dope as shit,
Swagger,
man. Fizo, man.
dope.
Oop.